To the world, she was just a little black girl riding a scooter. But to Officer Karen Doyle, she was a problem waiting to happen. Maya Angelou didn't know that the sound of scooter wheels on pavement could scare anyone. She didn't know that her joy, carefree and innocent, could ever be seen as suspicious. She was 9 years old, full of light, and her biggest worry that day was whether she could master riding with one hand. It was a bright Saturday morning in Belridge, a suburban town with tree-lined streets and crisp white fences. The kind of place people moved to for the quiet, the order, and the illusion of safety. Captain Jordan Alexander had moved his daughter there to start fresh. After 2 decades in a big city police department, he'd accepted a promotion and transferred to this nicer, more peaceful district, hoping it would give Maya space to grow up without fear. The new house, tucked into a cul-de-sac, had a front porch and a driveway, something he never imagined he could give her. Inside, Jordan sat at the kitchen table with his laptop open, his badge resting beside his coffee mug. He was on a Zoom call with city officials, half listening while reviewing departmental reports. "Can I ride my scooter outside?" Maya asked, bouncing on her toes. Jordan looked up and smiled. "Just up and down the block, okay? No going around corners." "Yes, sir. And if anyone talks to you and makes you uncomfortable, you come right back inside." Maya saluted him with 2 fingers. "Copy that, Captain Dad," he chuckled. "Go have fun, baby." Outside, Maya zipped down the sidewalk, her long braids flapping behind her like ribbons. She felt free. Her pink scooter, a birthday gift, gleamed in the sunlight. As she rode, she waved at neighbors, some of whom she had met, most of whom she hadn't. Across the street, Mrs. Harper sat watering her plants and smiled. "You're getting fast, Maya." "Thanks, Miss Harper," Maya called, looping back toward her driveway before spinning again for another round. But 2 blocks over, Officer Karen Doyle had just turned onto the street during her morning patrol. A 25-year veteran, she'd seen the city change and resented most of those changes. Karen believed her instincts were always right, and her instincts were flaring now. There, in the middle of the street, was a young black girl riding a scooter, alone. Karen slowed the cruiser, rolled to a stop, and narrowed her eyes. She adjusted her sunglasses and stared. The girl was wearing sneakers and a pink hoodie, smiling. Too comfortable. Karen's grip tightened on the steering wheel. What's she doing here? She wondered. This isn't her kind of neighborhood. She reversed slightly and pulled up beside Maya. "Hey, you there! Come here." Maya slowed to a stop and turned toward the officer's voice. "Yes, ma'am?" Karen stepped out of the cruiser. "Where are your parents?" Maya blinked. "My daddy's inside. He said I could ride right here." "You live here?" "Yes." She pointed to a house down the block. "That one. Number 713. Karen didn't look at the house. Her gaze stayed fixed on Maya's scooter. "Is that yours?" "Yes, ma'am. My daddy gave it to me for my birthday." Karen folded her arms. "And what's your name, Maya? Last name? Alexander." Karen raised an eyebrow. "How old are you?" "I'm 9. "No ID, I assume?" "I'm 9, Maya repeated. Karen muttered into her radio. "Unit 4 requesting secondary unit, possible 1066, minor acting suspicious, will investigate." Maya's hands tightened on the handlebars. "What's wrong?" she asked softly. Karen ignored the question. "Step off the scooter, please." "I don't understand." "You heard me, now." From her porch, Mrs. Harper stood up. "Excuse me, officer. That girl lives here. That's Captain Alexander's daughter." Karen didn't even glance her way. "Ma'am, please go back inside." "She's not doing anything wrong," Mrs. Harper insisted. "Back inside, now." Maya stepped off the scooter slowly. Her hands began to tremble. "I'm not bad," she whispered. Karen took a step closer. "Let's see what your story is." Officer Dean Ramirez arrived just as Karen was motioning Maya toward the patrol car. Dean was new, fresh out of the academy, eager but cautious. He parked beside her and stepped out, assessing the situation. "Everything all right?" he asked. Karen kept her eyes on Maya. "Suspicious behavior, no ID, said she lives here but won't produce proof." "She's 9, Ramirez said slowly. "Exactly, old enough to lie. You think I haven't seen that before?" Ramirez looked at Maya. Her eyes were wide and wet. Her bottom lip trembled. "Officer, please," she said. "I live right there. My daddy's Captain Alexander." Karen smirked. "Nice try. You don't even know what that means." "It means he's in charge," Maya said, voice breaking. Karen rolled her eyes. "Let's cut the act." Ramirez's brow furrowed. "Karen." Maybe we should just knock on the door. Do not question me, rookie. Karen turned to Maya and took out her cuffs. Maya backed away instinctively. No, please don't. Karen lunged forward and grabbed her wrist. Maya cried out, startled, and the scooter clattered to the ground. Karen twisted her around, one hand pinning her shoulder. You have the right to remain silent, she began. Maya shrieked. No, stop. I didn't do anything. I want my daddy. Karen, Ramirez said sharply. She's crying. She's scared. She's resisting. Stay out of it. Across the street, more neighbors stepped outside. Phones came out. A man shouted, What the hell are you doing? She's a kid. Mrs. Harper had her phone up. No, we too. That's the captain's daughter, I'm telling you. Karen pushed Maya gently but firmly toward the patrol car. The cuffs hung loose on her tiny wrists. Maya sobbed, calling again for her father, and then the front door of 713 slammed open. Captain Jordan Alexander stepped out in a navy t-shirt and sweatpants, coffee still in hand. His eyes found Maya instantly, cuffed, crying, surrounded. For a split second he didn't move, then he dropped the mug. It shattered on the porch as he sprinted toward them. Maya. Daddy. Karen turned startled. Sir, stand back. What the hell are you doing to my daughter? Karen froze. Ramirez stepped back. She was acting suspicious. She's 9. She's riding her scooter. I didn't know. You didn't ask. Karen opened her mouth, but Jordan stepped in front of Maya, unhooked the cuffs himself, and knelt beside her. You okay, baby? Maya sobbed and nodded. He turned back to Karen, his voice low and deadly calm. You arrested my child for existing in her neighborhood. She looked out of place. Out of place? Jordan repeated slowly. You're going to regret those words. He stood, taller than Karen, stronger, a man who had earned every stripe on his uniform. To all of you recording, he called to the neighbors, don't stop. Keep your phones up. He turned to Karen. You're done here. Captain Jordan Alexander had been through war zones, riots, and undercover busts. But nothing compared to the surge of rage and heartbreak he felt as he looked down at the faint red lines around his daughter's wrists. He turned toward Officer Karen Doyle, who was now visibly rattled, her hand twitching near her utility belt like a nervous reflex. She resisted, Karen mumbled. She wouldn't answer. She's 9 years old, Jordan snapped. She answered everything you asked. You just didn't want to listen. The crowd that had gathered murmured in agreement. Phones remained raised. Karen's eyes darted from face to face, but she found no allies, only witnesses. Jordan stood tall. His presence, even in sweatpants and a t-shirt, was commanding. Go back to your cruiser, he told Karen. Wait for my call. She hesitated, mouth parting to argue. I said now. For the first time, she obeyed without a word. Ramirez stepped forward, eyes downcast. Sir, I didn't know what to do. I tried to tell her. Jordan raised a hand. I saw you hesitate. That's more than some would have done. But next time, step in. A badge doesn't mean you go silent when wrong is happening. Ramirez nodded slowly. Yes, sir? Jordan turned to the neighbors, addressing them with controlled urgency. If you recorded this, please don't delete the footage. I'll need it. Mrs. Harper raised her phone. I got everything. From the moment she called Maya over. He gave her a grateful nod. Thank you, ma'am. Then, with his arm around Maya, he walked her back into their house. Slowly, so the world could see that even a police captain wasn't immune to the poison of prejudice. Inside, Maya sat silently on the couch, knees tucked to her chest, eyes vacant. She hadn't said a word since they walked in. Jordan knelt in front of her. I'm so sorry, baby girl, he whispered. Her voice came out as a whisper. I didn't do anything wrong. I know, he said, his own voice cracking. You didn't, and you'll never have to prove your worth to anyone. She nodded, but the tears didn't stop. Jordan stood and made a call. An hour later, Officer Karen Doyle stood in the captain's office, uniform neat, but posture stiff. Ramirez sat in the far corner, summoned as a witness. Jordan entered in full uniform this time. His face is unreadable. His badge gleamed under the fluorescent lights. Officer Doyle, he began calmly, please explain your actions today. Karen straightened her shoulders. I observed a young girl, unaccompanied, on a scooter in a neighborhood where she didn't appear to belong. Did she commit a crime? No, sir, but she refused to identify herself properly. She told you her name. She told you where she lived. She told you who her father was. I believe she was lying. Jordan leaned forward. So you cuffed her? Yes. And read her Miranda rights? Yes, sir. to a child barely tall enough to reach the sink. Karen opened her mouth, but Jordan cut her off. Did you attempt to confirm her address? No, sir. Did you knock on the door she pointed to? No. Did you radio dispatch to verify a Captain Alexander lived there? No. Jordan's voice sharpened. Then let me be clear. You arrested a child without cause. You ignored protocol. You escalated force against a minor. And you humiliated a black girl in front of her neighbors based solely on your assumptions. Karen's mouth was dry. I didn't mean harm. But you caused it, Jordan said. An intent doesn't erase damage. He opened a file on the desk and pulled out several printed screenshots. These are complaints filed against you over the last 5 years. Most were dismissed because they were unsubstantiated. But now, he pointed to the phone footage. Now we have proof. Karen's face went pale. You're suspended, effective immediately, pending formal investigation. She looked stunned. You can't be serious. I'm dead serious, and if I have any say, you won't wear that badge again. Ramirez shifted in his seat, the tension in the room thick as concrete. Jordan stood. Leave your weapon and badge with the front desk. I'll be contacting internal affairs. Dismissed. Karen stared at him for a moment longer, searching for pity. She found none. She turned and walked out, her footsteps hollow. Later that night, after Maya had fallen asleep with her favorite stuffed animal tucked under one arm, Jordan sat alone on the porch. The air was cool now, quiet. Ramirez joined him, uncertain. Mind if I sit? Jordan nodded. Go ahead. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the hum of distant crickets. I've been thinking, Ramirez said. If that had been anyone else's kid, if you weren't captain, she'd have been booked. Maybe even fingerprinted. Jordan's jaw tightened. You're right. It's not just Karen, is it? Ramirez said. It's the whole system. Jordan sighed. I joined this department to make things better. Safer, for Maya, for kids like her. But even as captain, I couldn't stop this from happening in my own front yard. Ramirez looked at him. But you did stop it. You held her accountable. A lot of people wouldn't have. Jordan didn't respond right away. His eyes stared out into the dark. Justice isn't about position, he finally said. It's about action, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's your own. He stood gripping the porch railing. Change starts here. With us. Ramirez nodded solemnly. As Jordan walked back inside, he paused by Maya's door. She was fast asleep, her brow no longer furrowed. He whispered, They won't break you. I won't let them. And for the first time in years, he didn't just wear the badge. He carried its weight. The following week, the Belridge Police Department was no longer the quiet station tucked between the coffee shop and the library. Now, reporters gather outside the building daily. Local news vans were parked along the curb. Headlines flashed across TV screens. Black police captain's daughter wrongfully arrested by veteran cop. Inside, the tension was unbearable. Officers whispered in corners. Some avoided eye contact with Captain Alexander. Others gave silent nods of respect. The air was heavy, filled with something more than embarrassment, accountability. Jordan Alexander wasn't interested in optics. He wanted change. Real, structural change. He stood before the department's entire staff during the weekly briefing, not behind the podium like usual, but in front of it, eye to eye with the people he commanded. I want to speak as a father today, he began, his voice calm but steady. Not as your captain. The room went still. Last week, my daughter, 9 years old, was handcuffed, humiliated, and traumatized. Not because she broke the law, but because she didn't look like she belonged. He paused. And let's be honest, many of you know that wasn't an isolated incident. You've seen it. Maybe you looked away. Maybe you told yourself it wasn't your place. Maybe you thought it wouldn't change anything. He scanned the room. But it is your place, and silence is complicity. An uncomfortable shift rippled through the ranks. Officer Ramirez stood near the back, arms crossed, his gaze unflinching. Jordan continued. I didn't come here to make friends. I came here to serve, and that means holding ourselves to the highest standard, especially when it's hard. He stepped aside and clicked the projector. A slideshow began playing. Data charts, body cam review proposals, complaint history summaries. This department will implement mandatory bias training, effective immediately. Every officer. No exceptions. Body cameras will be prioritized in the next budget, and any complaint involving racial profiling will go through independent review. He looked directly at several senior officers in the front row. If that makes you uncomfortable, ask yourself why. The room remained quiet, but the shift was undeniable. Something had cracked open. Later that afternoon, Jordan sat across from the town's police commissioner, Margaret Dunn, in her corner office on the 3rd floor. A career administrator, she wore tailored suits and kept her glasses perched low on her nose. She folded her hands as she listened. "You've stirred up a storm," she said finally. Jordan didn't flinch. Justice usually does. "I'm getting calls. Donors, business owners. They're nervous. They should be. They live here too. What happened to Maya could have happened to any black child or any child, period." Commissioner Dunn leaned back. "Karen Doyle is filing for early retirement instead of going through her disciplinary hearing. The union's pressuring us to let her go quietly." "No," Jordan said firmly. "She doesn't get to slip away and vanish into another town. There needs to be a record. She needs to be held accountable, formally." Dunn sighed. "Jordan, if we drag this out, we'll lose political capital we need for camera funding, community programs, and—" he leaned forward. "Letting this slide is political suicide. If we're asking the community to trust us, we can't hide behind red tape when one of our own does wrong." The commissioner studied him. "You're not going to back down, are you?" "No, ma'am." A long pause. Then she nodded. "File your formal charges. I'll back it." Jordan stood. "Thank you." As he reached the door, Dunn called after him. "You're making a lot of enemies, Captain." He turned back. "Then I must be doing something right." That evening, Jordan stopped by the local community center, where a town hall meeting was being held. Word had gotten out about what happened to Maya, and the room was packed. Parents, activists, local faith leaders, even teenagers with Justice for Maya signs. Jordan didn't come to speak, but they asked him to. He stood behind a small podium, a single mic in front of him. "I'm not here to defend the badge," he said. "I'm here to demand that it means something." He took a breath. "When I joined the force, I believed I could protect my community by standing inside the system. But last week proved that even my daughter wasn't safe from that system." There were nods across the room. A mother in the front wiped away a tear. "We can't fix everything overnight, but what we can do is commit to transparency, to accountability, to justice that doesn't change depending on the color of your skin." A soft round of applause began. Then it grew, louder, unified. He looked into the crowd and saw Maya sitting with Mrs. Harper, coloring quietly in her lap, a pink ribbon in her hair. He smiled gently. "This isn't just about one child," he said. "It's about the world we leave for all our children." Back at home later that night, Maya sat on the floor drawing again. She held up her sketchbook. "Look, Daddy." It was a picture of her flying through the sky on her scooter. Bright wings on her back, soaring above clouds and neighborhoods. He sat beside her, voice soft. "That's beautiful." "I'm not scared anymore," she said. "You made them listen." Jordan's throat tightened. "You're the one who made them listen, Maya. All I did was echo your truth." She leaned against him, and he wrapped his arm around her. In a town that finally began to open its eyes, a little girl's voice had sparked something bigger than justice. It had sparked change. For weeks after the incident, Maya clung a little tighter to her dad's hand whenever they walked together. She still rode her scooter, but not quite as fast. She'd glance around more. Her joy hadn't disappeared. It had just learned to be cautious. But slowly the fear began to fade. People from the community sent letters, some handwritten in messy penmanship, others typed with care. Children drew pictures of Maya with superhero capes. One local bakery even renamed their chocolate cupcake the Maya Braveheart. The scars were still there, unseen but present, and yet healing had begun. One evening, as golden light poured through the living room window, Maya sat with her sketchbook in her lap again. Her drawings had changed since that day. They were bolder, more vivid. She was still drawing herself with wings, but now they stretched wider, stronger. And this time behind her stood a tall figure in uniform with his hand on her shoulder. "Daddy," she asked without looking up, "why did that lady hate me?" Jordan sat beside her quietly. These were the moments for which no training manual could prepare him. "I don't think she hated you, Maya," he said softly. "I think she believed something about you that wasn't true. Because of how you look, because of what she's learned over time. That's not fair." "No, baby," he nodded. "It's not. But do you know what's powerful?" She looked up at him. You told the truth. You were brave. And because of that, she can't keep doing it to anyone else. Maya thought about that, so I helped stop her. You did more than that, Jordan said. You reminded a whole town what's right. She smiled a little. Even the mayor came to my school last week. I heard, he chuckled, and you told him to put more swings in the playground. 2 more, and 1 for kids with wheelchairs. Jordan pulled her into a hug. That night, he tucked her into bed, kissed her forehead, and whispered the same thing he'd whispered every night since the incident. You are safe, you are seen, and you are so loved. As he turned off the light and closed her door, Jordan paused in the hallway. The house was quiet, peaceful, and for the first time in a long time it felt like the silence was honest, not hiding pain, not holding back, but resting in truth. Justice hadn't fixed everything, but it had begun.